It is now 13 hours 39, and it is time for Elections and COVID-19 Watch with senior journalist of Kaieteur News, Mr. Leonard Gildarie, and his missing co-host at the moment. We are waiting Dr. Yog Mahadeo, but we have decided to make a start without him. Good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie.
Yes, good afternoon to our very loyal people down in the studio here. It's not only Kevin, but Raj and Joshua here with us. And there's a beautiful day out there. It's a little hot. It's July the 23rd, 2020, 143 days since that March the 2nd elections. And we are going to get right into it in a moment. Uh, Granger and the administration yesterday, President David Granger, in a statement that was issued by the coalition, has made it clear that they're not willing to accept any recount figures. Rather, they want to have talks. However, this morning, the opposition leader, Bar Jagdo, has hit back, stating that they would have no talks with any kind, with anyone at this point in time before the declarations. So that is what is the big news that is coming out right now. We go straight to the Kaieteur newspaper, July the 23rd, 2020. Government legitimacy rests on declaration of recount results. And I want to say good day to my co-host, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, who is here at the moment. So we are going to be joining him as he has a lot to say today. Government legitimacy rests on declaration of recount results. EU. Granger will not accept recount figures. That's a big story here. After several things, I will abide by the law. I will abide by the constitution. I'm awaiting the declarations of GCOM. Yesterday, they issued that very big statement, which would have alarmed thousands of Guyanese, right-thinking Guyanese, who wants to go according to the law, who wants to hear everything that is supposed to be constitutionally recognized. Saying, and the coalition is saying very clearly, it does not matter whether this thing goes to court or so, we're not going to recognize it. Well, here you have it. The opposition says not at all. We're not going to tolerate you saying that. And so we are going to have a discussion on that in a very short while. Come back to the newspaper here again. It is the responsibility of OS to protect democracy. This is a Venezuelan ambassador to Guyana, to the OS, and you'll recall that we did have a conversation with that about the slap in face that we have Venezuela, a sister country which we have in court at the moment. And while we want to have a very good relationship with them, at the moment, for us to be in this position, there's been a lot of criticisms on the coalition in itself for allowing Guyana to be in a very dark place that now people that we would have voted against, voted to criticize their democracy, are now lecturing us. Exxon's reports to EPA silent on the toxic effects of flaring. We cannot keep this on the back burner. Our oil is our wealth, and while we fight in here, oil, the production of which would have dominated the news in the last couple of years, has now been relegated to the back burner, and we're not looking at some of the big decisions or the big things that are happening, including flaring, which has a major impact on the environment, and that conversation has not been taking place. That is because we have been dominating our news with elections more than 4.5 months after it would have been held on March the 2nd. Elections declarations case for Saturday. The AG, which is the Attorney General, has decided that there's not going to be any pretense anymore, that the coalition is going to join the appellant, this Messenger Jones, who would have applied to have a halt in the matter to put aside those declarations that are pending, and say that they want to put a halt on it. Well, AG is saying that while he's no longer the representative of the state, he's representing his party here. This is in essence what is being said, and he's going to join with Ms. Jones in this matter, which is going to be heard at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning at the Court of Appeal. So get ready. It is what is happening there. The big news that is also coming out now is that there's been a change in the number of in the judges who are going to be there. Remember the last time it was Don Gregory, justices Don Gregory, Rishi Prasad, and Bassington Reynolds. Bassington Reynolds is out, Priya Biari is in, and she's coming from the High Court. And there's some nervousness from the coalition about her presence there. I'm not sure why. Eskimo man charged for setting fire to CID office army building. Interesting story here. The story is that the accused has a mother who's charged with murder, and he decided that he's upset with the police and decided to light fire in the CID office and the Saudi magistrate court office, and as well as the army building there on the Escribble coast. At least that's the allegations, and he's charged, placed before the court in two of the instances. Exxon's environmental damage in West Africa should be a wake-up call for Guyana. 3 dead in separate road accidents. Folks, please take care on the road. I saw some accidents this morning, vehicles overturned somewhere up on the east coast there, and then so we got to be very, very careful. There's no hurry. Why are we hurrying in such a hurry that we switching lanes at random? We don't care about the other person driving. Current common sense false report to CCJ judgment to OAS, and this is the foreign minister who would have been speaking to the OAS the other day. Apparently, she sent a letter to them. She sent a letter to them which contains false information with regards to the CCJ judgment to the OAS. So, good day to you, beautiful folks across this country of ours. Every day it is a pleasure being with you, conferring with you, having you call us, message us across this land of ours. And of course, we can't forget the diaspora. Yog, we would have had our people with us day in, day out, making comments, encouraging us, making recommendations, how we could see a better Guyana. These are the kind of conversation that we should be having. Last evening in room 592, very interesting conversation there with Mark Phillips, who is the prime ministerial candidate. You would have another term to say that he's prime ministerial elect. So at this point in time, Yog, there's many things to discuss, including the 3 commissioners this morning came out with a statement which is condemning all criticism or the attack on Justice retired Claudette Singh, chairperson of GCOM. You could remember last week there was, I think it was a couple of days back, when they had a coffin and there was a mock funeral for Claudette Singh. They're coming out and say this thing is, while we may not agree, and this is, says Gunraj, Bibi Shadik, and Robertson Ben, at all times with Claudette Singh and what she would have been saying, or decisions, we condemn these attacks. And Jagdeo would have, of course, come out to that statement this morning, which we're going to read in a very short while. Mark Phillips, during that program last night, which is a conversation that you and I need to have with yoga, so we could, if you've missed that program last evening, you need to look at it, because Mark Phillips would have spoken with the army and the police role, and he believes that they will remain professional based on his knowledge and the way that they work. And when it comes to democracy, the police and the army, the forces will stand tall. And of course, I want to hand it over. Let's don't talk a lot today. After this, we want to get right into calls. We want to hear from the people. Yog, a lot of people still suffering. In fact, I seem to have the impression it has taken more than a crisis proportion now. Over to you, my good co-host, and let us get the conversation on the road.
Thank you, Leonard. Good day to you and our team at Kaieteur Radio, and our ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters all across Guyana and the diaspora. Leonard, what a conversation. What a sad state that Guyana has become, that we now have to have a conversation as about whether the army and the police will remain professional. What a day we are in that we have to discuss these things. This tells us not how far we have come, how far we have not advanced. After 55 years, 54 years of independence, Leonard, what are we now? Last night, you were right. Last night, we had to ask Prime Minister-elect about his opinion about race and racial problems in Guyana, his opinion about, what role would the police and army play. And the gentleman was quite clear that he believes that the army and the police will continue to be professional. Now, the people of this country will have their own opinions about that. And I'm not about to shape their opinion. Actions speak louder than words. Leonard, to see that Karen Cummings and Basil Williams lied, and Kaieteur News today has an article there that you mentioned, that even in her forerunner, the letter that would have been sent from the Foreign Affairs Ministry would have incorporated, and perpetrated a lie, a blatant lie. These people sent a lie to the OAS and sent a lie to the rest of the world, like as if nobody out there is reading, seeing, hearing what's going on, and like as if none of those people were tuning into the CCJ's decision or have a copy of the written decision, the written orders of the CCJ. So, Leonard, it's mind-boggling to know how the politicians perceive the rest of the world, how these politicians that currently squat in office, how they see and they think that the rest of the world are in the same low base that they are, the same lowness of standard and the same lie and deceit and cheat and steal that they are incorporating into their lives every day. They believe everybody else is probably at that low level or that low state. But the world certainly knows what's going on, Leonard. And it is also disheartening that today, after 141 days, it takes us all of this time, and we are seeing, well, most people, you and I, we have said this from a long time ago. We have questioned whether APNU AFC were really ever going to give up if they lose. Remember a month and a half ago, Leonard, I was on the same program with you and I, and we were saying that it seems like APNU AFC don't want to hear anything if it's not that APNU AFC has won. These people want to go back to Mingo's declaration, and they're totally ignoring anything about SOPs. They're totally ignoring that it is Roxanne George who said that Mingo had to use the SOPs. Now, the good thing is that Claudia Singh has thrown out, put aside, rubbished, garbaged all those declarations, including Mingo's declaration. And Leonard, I would want to continue to reach out to members in the secretariat of GCOM. These people know the truth. I don't know that there is a law that is muzzling the PR officer or the other officers within GCOM. What we know is that only the CEO can guide the chairman. But there is no law that muzzles the rest of them, and they need to start coming out and speaking the truth. Leonard, truth is a stranger to people who want to embrace criminality. This is what you're seeing Grange and his team doing. They're changing their mouths every day. So it will be interesting to see, to shift that into gear, to see what will be Freddie Kissoon's take tonight in room 592, right?
Well, I'm looking forward to it because that statement that would have come out that alarmed so many, that would have unsettled us in its very tone. It was a huge deviation from what the president would have been saying. I'm awaiting the declarations of GCOM when the issue of concede would have been raised. And he says that's what I will abide by. Now, all of a sudden, we're hearing any declarations that come as a result of the recount. And let us go back a little. This Caribbean Court of Justice would have made a statement, a decision, its ruling on the recount and what's supposed to be done, what's supposed to be done with it. Here you have it. It went back to GCOM, and then before GCOM could do anything, when it was ordered that Keith Lowenfield, who also came on the question last night about what is Mark Phillips' thoughts on it. Keith Lowenfield, when ordered with it, all of a sudden, in the midst of that, you have this court case that would have been thing. He refused to answer and walked out of a meeting with his boss, that his boss was holding, that his boss was sitting down there, got up and walked out. Imagine that? And so here we are. The CCJ has issued rendered a decision with regards to how that recount is to be treated. And you have the statement coming out and says, well, we're going to disregard the CCJ's ruling. We're going back to the CCJ to ask them if they were serious when they issued that statement, that ruling or those decisions. York, that is in essence what it is. We're going back to the same people. York, what you said last night about me getting a salary increase, did you really mean it? I saw you put it in a letter to me as a boss. You will send a letter and you said I'm going to get a salary increase. Did you really mean it? Is that your signature
Yes,
that you put at the bottom there?
that's the thing. You see, Leonard, and bottom line is people. It's amazing how people translate. And going back to the low and feel thing, Leonard. Before I talk about your salary increase, last night, Brigadier retired Mark Phillips also mentioned that no one would have thought that these are not his words directly, but he used the word rogue, gone rogue. Nobody would have thought that Lowenfield, a former army man, would go rogue in the way he has done. Leonard, it is it is worrying. Let me put this to the viewers and listeners out there. Ladies and gentlemen, for a minute, if let us think the following. When the PPP gets into office, and in 2025, when there is an election, or 2026 when there is an election, and if the PPP were to lose, Leonard, and they do exactly what APNO AFC is doing now, what would APNO AFC supporters say?
Mm-hmm.
If it was a PPP government in office now, and they were doing what APNO AFC is doing, what would APNO AFC say? You know, this is the shamelessness of Granger and his team. What they are now doing, they're setting a precedence. God help us if another government comes in place and decide, you know what? Next election, they will blame everything on APNO AFC and say, APNO AFC, you're in opposition and you rig all these elections and you did this and you did that and you did the other. And so, you know what? Stay in opposition because we are not going to accept any results.
And isn't that
Yeah.
the same reason, Yog? Sorry about that. Isn't that the same reason why the entire region in the world is worried? Here you have it, a small little country that is part of so many organizations, rogue state, because that is what it is. You have a coalition, the incumbent is refusing to give up power, although all the evidence, there's not a single shred of evidence that is there other than the recount which has verified what the count of the March 2nd election has said. It has basically verified that, give or minus a few votes. So here you have it. The whole world is endorsed it. The whole world has looked at it. And you have this country here in this region, part of the CARICOM, part of Commonwealth, part of the OS, part of the United Nations, that is saying, I don't give a damn. I don't care about any kind of agreements that we would have signed, that I have to respect democracy. I don't intend to pay any attention to all the charters when it comes to human rights, about the rule of law and anything else. We are not going to pay attention. You do whatever it is. Well, the U.S. did do whatever it is last week. Many of them lost their visas last week. While it was we know what it is. It's several ministers, including the president. That is what our sources are saying. They're not going to be an official thing, but we stand by our sources that it is. If you want us to take us to court, you could take us to court. But we are saying that it is the president and several cabinet ministers who would have been handed visa revocation sanctions by the U.S. And there is more coming. I think there's going to be a certain
Correct.
time that the U.S. is going to say. And while we're doing that, Canada is also acknowledging that the Britain is also working in similar vein, and Canada is also saying that we have tools at our disposal. While we're speaking about that, there's other things that's happening. We continue here running the government as if it's business as usual. It's not a transitionary government. It's not a caretaker government. It is not anything like that. It's business as usual. We have a government and a cabinet, and they're issuing checks and they're doing whatever else it is. That's what it is.
Exactly. And Leonard, there is another perspective that I want to ask viewers and listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine if GCOM chairman, can you imagine if it was Steve Sursvali and the PNC was in opposition, and Steve Sersbally was taking so long to declare these elections, what would have been the state of Guyana, Leonard? If PNC was in opposition and was a PPP government, or any other government, ANOC government or whoever government, but PNC was in opposition, and Steve Sersbally or Joe Singh or any other person, even Claudia Singh, if Claudia Singh was the chairman then, and you're taking 140 days to make a declaration, what would have been the state of this country? Leonard, here is the other thought that we must also have. PNC wants, APNU AFC PNC wants to stay in office. They want that, okay, you know what, we're going to stay in office, y'all come and talk to us. Let's talk and agree the position. But Leonard, in the meanwhile, Lowenfield will become the chairman of GCOM under PNC. Because remember, they're not going to listen to the courts anymore. They're not listening to the court now. So if they form a dictatorship, the judiciary will have no place in Guyana. So they will not listen to the court. The constitution will be based on what Basil Williams tells them it means. And so they're going to have Keith Lowenfield as the chairman of GCOM. They're going to probably promote somebody and somebody else. And so the entire secretariat is going to be, and they'll probably close down the GCOM head office, and they're going to move GCOM building into Sophia, into Congress Place. That is the potential of what will happen here. You have a dictatorship. You have people, Keith Lowenfield will be made the head of GCOM because he has served them so well. So the issue here, Leonard, that at PNC, APNU, AFC remaining in government is going to do all of this. Can anybody else ever win an election again? Will there ever be? If this election, the most free and fair and credible election in the history of Guyana, 2020, March 2020 election, if this one they don't want to accept, God help us to see what is the election they will accept, Leonard.
Absolutely, Yogan. So I want to come straight to the statement. The three commissioners issuing this statement this morning says Gunrad, Robertson, Ben, and Bibi Shadik, commissioners of the Guyana Elections Commission. It seems to have become the norm that individuals and organizations that take actions or make statements which appear to be averse to the rigging agenda are subject to various kinds of attacks. Recently, the vilest attacks have been directed toward Justice Claudia Singh, chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, presumably for the firm stance she's taken in rejecting the fraudulent reports presented and insisting that the only recount figures be presented to the Commission for the purpose of a declaration of the final election results. While the commissioners may not always agree with the chairman, she has always discharged her duties with professionalism, fairness, and impartiality, and in keeping with the tenets of the Constitution and other legal provisions. We unreservedly condemn those scurrilous attacks on the chairman and call upon those engaged in such conduct, including the senior members of the APNU FC contesting in these elections, to cease and desist from all so doing. And York, while we're doing this, somebody just sent me, somebody put up about the woman, the GCOM chair, about her family in Berbice, and you got to see it, but I can't share it because I would not be responsible for that. But it is continuing. Everybody from, yes.
Let me ask you, sir, as a senior journalist, on air, I am telling you, go on Stanley Ming's Facebook page now. That is what this society has come down to.
Stanley Ming, as in the businessman Stanley Ming?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. I wouldn't expect that he would be doing something like that. Definitely, I'd be checking that. In the meantime, we are going to go read what Barjagdi would have said this morning, a couple hours back, with regards to that statement that was issued by the APNU FC coalition. Yes, go ahead.
I am seeing you are a friend to the page.
I am a friend to the page?
Yes, you are a friend.
How did I become a friend? Would I have to accept, or they could add me as a friend?
No, you're already a friend, man. I see you are clicked as a friend there, man. Kwesi Monroe is a friend.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, so You should go and
Definitely.
see my friend.
Yes, I definitely read it out but we can't, we got to be very careful. You don't want to,
So don't
yeah,
read it. Don't read that
right, right.
nonsense to the public. That is
Yes.
that is nonsense.
Right. So what Bajak just said this morning, opposition leader, in a statement issued yesterday, the APNU FC said it will not be accepting any declaration based on the figures derived from the national recount. This is in clear defiance of the international community, the Chief Justice, the CCJ, and GCOM, which is what we would have been talking about, who would have made it very clear that any declaration has to be made on the basis of the figures from the recount. And also in contrast to the earlier statements by President David Granger, that he will accept any declaration made by GCOM. No one should be surprised as the PNC, which Granger leads and which is essentially the APNU FC, has the history of not accepting the results of every election that they have lost since 1992. What we have to do now is to work to ensure that we have a declaration that's reflective of the will of the people, and the only one that is derived from the figures generated by the national recount will provide such an outcome. If Granger and his band of riggers believe that they can continue to hang on to office after the declaration has been made, then they are living in a fool's world. Very strong words. If the international community was prepared to condemn and levy sanctions against people who are trying to undermine democracy, even before the declaration, just imagine the consequences the riggers will face if they refuse to leave office after the declaration, essentially staging a coup. Needless to say, such a move will be met by fierce resistance by the PPP and other forces fighting for democracy. I therefore urge Guyanese at this stage not to be concerned about whether they will accept the declaration or not, as we will cross that bridge when we get there. The consequence for Granger and the APNU FC at that time will be alluded to by the Secretary General of the OS, Louis Almagro, democracy or abyss. The consequences, yes, that's what the statement is from,
If I may,
yes, go ahead, Yog.
so Mr. Ming has posted the following. He said that it is apparent that someone, most likely a troll, is attempted to link my name to a social media posting that seeks to besmirch the good name and character of Justice Claudette Singh. When I originally saw the post, I commented that such ludicrous statements as contained herein are reprehensible and totally unwarranted. Furthermore, I was asked by numerous persons during the past several months that what my opinion of Ms. Singh and her position as GCOM chairperson, and I hold my singular position. She has attained her status as a highly respected member of the legal establishment through years of hard work and dedication to her profession and is unlikely to compromise her honesty and integrity at this juncture of her life for anyone. So Stanley Ming has disassociated himself, and he has said that somebody seemed to have used his name to create a fake profile and made that post. So I just want to ensure that we say that up openly to the public.
Yes, I see that. And Yog, let me tell you this. I've known Stanley, and the first time I met him, I was at Starbucks News, and I met him because he had his grand plan. I think it was for development in Guyana, and he wanted to talk about it. And I always saw him as a young reporter, as a visionary. I would have been I was taken aback, to be honest, when somebody just sent this to me that he has that on his page. I couldn't imagine somebody of his caliber that would be sharing something that would be pushing such absolute nonsense. And what this is here is extremely wicked. This is becoming extremely personal now. I saw them going after Priya Bihari. We know that they've gone after Rishi Prasad. They've gone after Owen Arthur. I know they were even coming after me and you and the family of Glenn and everybody else. These are things that we have to pay attention. The minute that you open your mouth and talk about the rule of law in Guyana, it's become poison to some people's ears. But guess what? No retreat, no surrender. That is what it is. The people of Guyana are tired. It's been 143 days. And let's not forget that entire year that we would have wasted since last year from the December the 21st, 2018 uh, uh, 2018 no confidence motion, that we wasted an entire year fighting about what is 33, what is 32, and we would have been pushing the envelope, pushing the goalposts in different directions. We kicked the goalposts over the fence in the field, in the football field. That's what we did, Yog. So these are things that no self-thinking, no right-thinking Guyanese who want to see this country move forward. Why is it that Yog Mahadeo and Gildarie and people are speaking up, and it's public knowledge who are the people that are speaking now? They want to see a Guyana. This is not all Guyana, or this is not the APNO FC supporters who are saying this. The APNO FC supporters are decent people. They're decent Guyanese. It's a handful of people who want to shift the narrative, and woe to anybody who dare say that they have not won the elections when the recount and the whole world is saying different to you. This is something that is unbelievable. All the newspapers in Guyana, and when I'm saying that you cannot look at the Guyana Ragas, which I will have to join the bandwagon with you now and call it that, you cannot look at it and say that that's part of the media. What they're doing there, I understand, even they're using the NCN now. I was called last night, they're using the NCN now, a private individual who has a private media in the night and saying that they're paying NCN. At the end of the day, I hope that you're paying attention, the managers of NCN here, you'll have to account for the people money. If you have been saying that you're receiving monies for programs that are not supposed to be there, or it's supposed to be a revenue and you can't find the money because it has to be paid for, well, then you would have to think answer to fraud charges or something. What is important, Yog, is that there's not a media house in Guyana that has backed, that is pushing, that has endorsed this nonsense that has happened, this illegality, this unlawful behavior, this bullyism that is going on. And yes, they are going to come after us, and they have come after us. They've blocked us on almost everything. They have tried all the technical things. I can't even say some of the things that we as a radio station have had to put up with. Don't let's talk about the newspaper, some of the things that has happened to us. I'm not at liberty. Maybe Glendale, one of these days, after elections and everything would have settled, he's going to be here to tell you some of the things that was done to us during this election period from last year to now. And he's going to tell you about some of those things. As of now, what is important is that we speak about the business of the Guyanese people, which is how do we get ourselves out of this hole that we have dug ourselves into. A couple of people have done the digging, and we have to climb out of it now. We have to face the international world. We have to face the OAS, the CARICOM, the Commonwealth, the rest of the world, to tell them why 32 is greater than 33. You imagine that, Yog?
Correct, Leonard. And also, Leonard, here we are today. I hate to raise this, but ladies and gentlemen, if APNO AFC loses this matter at the Court of Appeal, are they going to go to the CCJ? Will the CCJ then be a court to which they're not going to cry, we don't want to hear from overseas court, they don't, we want our sovereignty to be maintained, we don't trust these overseas courts? So, Leonard, that will be an interesting thing to see, right?
Why would it be interesting to see, Yog? Is this something that is expected? Anything else to change whatever is the story that is before us? If the page says,
Remember,
if the page, the recount says that you have lost, do you change the word lost to win? How do you do that? You scratch it out and you write it in?
my point is, remember that the last time matters went to the CCJ, APNO AFC, they know that their case cannot be won in any court. So now you find that as of yesterday, as I predicted it, they start to attack the Court of Appeal judges. Nasty attack. Right? I've seen one former minister shamelessly post a picture of one of the judges next to a former president and say, look, this is biased, without stopping to think that that picture was when the person, that judge, was a magistrate, and when they were having an opening of the chambers there. So Leonard, and that man claims to be or wants to be a leader in Guyana. So every time they find that they know they don't have a case they could win, they're going to attack the judiciary. So that's why I raised two things. Last time they did not attack the Court of Appeal because they knew they would win. But soon as the matter left the Court of Appeal, they started to attack the CCJ. Now they are attacking the Court of Appeal. If they decide to go to the CCJ, are they now going to go to the CCJ knowing that they criticize? Remember they took out a full-page ad in Trinidad attacking the CCJ? That's the baseness of a lot of these people. The other thing I want to quickly bring your attention to, they're attacking the judges, Leonard. They're attacking members of the judiciary. One of them posted, a gentleman that I thought I had respect for, posted on his Facebook page about who was Honorable Madam Roxanne George's uncle and father and this. I don't know, how these things. Now, my point in raising this, they have attacked Roxanne George. They're now attacking the Court of Appeal judges. They have attacked the CCJ. That shows, ladies and gentlemen, if APNU AFC stays in power, the judiciary is over, done with, gone. There will be no need, no place for an independent judiciary. I've seen the same gentleman who posted that rottenness about Honorable Madam Roxanne George. He posted another post to say if it was Burnham, he would have made a phone call and ensure that the right judges sat at the court. What is a right judge and a wrong judge? This is the ridiculousness. What is a right judge and a wrong judge? And the Bar Association and all the judiciary, I know they don't get themselves immersed into these things. But my fear is that silence in the face of these things means you're also allowing your independence to be sidestepped, to be the ground to be pulled out from under your feet. Leonard, to have the Chief Justice attacked, to have any judges at the High Court attacked, and there's only one set of people attacking the judges all the time. Only one set of people attacking the judges, and that's APNU AFC. Win or lose, PPP did not attack APNU, ANOG did not attack, TCI did not attack. I didn't hear them attack the judges of the Court of Appeal when they lost the last time at the Court of Appeal, when the matter went to the CCJ. So only APNU FC, and that shows, ladies and gentlemen, what will happen to the judiciary in this country when a man could say that if it was Burnham, he would have picked up the phone and directed that the right judge be there to listen to this matter. Leonard, who is the right judge and who is the wrong judge? And the other question, if there is a right judge and a wrong judge in a political cycle, that person does not deserve to be a judge.
Well, you also raised in the big specter of whether any calls were made to another judge when certain decisions that the CCJ struck down. In fact, 2 times the CCJ struck down decisions of the Court of Appeal. So you've got to wonder whether any phone calls were made to some judges or whether any judges were given at any court any kind of directions, because that's the inference there.
Yeah. The damage they are doing, Leonard, and look, by them taking out ads in Trinidad newspapers, by them attacking the judiciary, what they're doing to the image of Guyana's judiciary in front of the rest of the world is also amazing. Look, can you imagine Madam Claudette Singh? Look the attacks they have brought upon this good lady over the past 2 weeks. Right? Can you imagine what face she would have? Can you imagine what the world presently would think of any judge in Guyana at this stage, because APNU AFC has besmirched the entire existence of legality in Guyana, and the Bar Association is silent. Look, you have had senior executives of APNU AFC come out and say, Mr. Harman, remember Mr. Ram identified it, that Mr. Harman came out and said that our lawyers will continue this fight. He has adopted this matter. The Bar Association is silent on Basil Williams going to the OAS and misrepresenting an apex court, misrepresenting law. The Bar Association is also silent on these people doing just cut and paste and going to the court. Leonard, if this does, and I'm not saying the Bar Association probably has its good reasons why it's not speaking out. I cannot presume to think for them, but all I can say is a sad day for the judiciary in Guyana when we are going to these levels of ignorance, of trying to supplant political thinking upon the judiciary. To now say that if it was Burnham, the right judge would have been there, means that there are judges in the system that is taking political directorate, and we don't need such judges in the system. And Leonard, in addition, for a senior executive for APNU AFC to come out the day after Roxanne George's decision and to say that decision was political and not legal, I don't know where we are going, and I don't know why the entire legal fraternity is as quiet as it is.
Absolutely, and I want to say a hello to my sister, Omi Adela Herwood, I think it is. I hope I'm pronouncing it goodly. She says in a post not too long ago that we should be so happy that there are so many radio stations. I rather presume that is saying that we should be thankful and shut our mouths with regards to having been granted a radio station. I'm not sure whether if that's what she's saying, but let me address that right there and then. We have been given a radio station here after an application that would have been spanning many years. When we would have been given that radio station, I think we were told that there are a couple of rules that we'd have to abide by, make sure that it's clean, make sure that we involve all, it's a radio for all Guyana, and that we keep it clean. And there's some other rules that you would have to do, public service announcements and so. I'm not sure whether any agreement, I can't remember, and I'm sure that if I'd seen it, it's something that would have been objected to, that we were told that we have to bow down, carry any party, any political line. I want to repeat it here. We don't have any political party. Leonard Gildarie and Kaieteur Radio and Kaieteur News don't have any political party that we bow down to, that we carry any line for. This is not what we've been doing. We have a proud history, including the loss of lives for pressmen. 5 of them lost their lives. We would have paid the price over the years, and we're not going to start right now by carrying any line of any political party. So whoever's in power, whichever parties are there, we will continue to carry out our mandate. This has been something I've repeated time and again, and I thank you very much, Ms. Herwood, for reminding me that we have to remind the people of where this radio, where this newspaper stands. So regardless who comes into power, who remains in power, or whatever it is next 5 years, as long as Gildarie is here, and I speak on behalf of Glendale too, because this is something he's made very clear. He has no constituency, and we will continue to carry out without fear or favor our job, our mandate to the people. We are the 4th or the 5th estate, Yog. We're the 4th estate, the media, and they are sitting in the gallery paying attention, and they are representative. They are representatives of the people of Guyana. Thank you very much, Eric.
Correct. And Leonard, one has to wonder about our population, our ability to want to swallow certain wrongs, that it's mind-boggling. I will share this with people openly. We have had every year, Leonard, we have had a Pagua festival at the stadium every single year. Every year. Ladies and gentlemen, under the PPP government, they used to force us to pay over $1 million for that program. I used to oppose Frank Anthony because I felt it was criminal to want to charge us that amount of money to run a free program that makes Guyana look good. PPP used to do that. APNU AFC came into government And I've always praised Dr. George for this. Under George's watch at the ministry, he never charged more than $300,000, and the $300,000 was to basically as a means of having a security in place. But that doesn't mean that I must shut my eyes to if Dr. George do something wrong or if his colleagues do something wrong. Wrong is wrong, whether it is PPP do it or PNC do it. I will not forgive what Frank Anthony or his crew did when we were trying to hold religious shows. And I would be thankful to the PNC ministers that allowed us to do some of them. But that does not mean that because I'm thankful for one thing, I must shut my eyes when my babies, when my children are being raped, when my country is being raped. I will speak up and speak out regardless of who is in government. Wrong is wrong, whether you are black, whether you are white, whether you are brown, whether you are yellow, whatever is your religion, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, wrong is wrong. And we got to oppose it. Leonard, what year did Kaieteur News start?
I think 25 years ago, put it that way, 25 years ago.
25 years ago. Which government give you your license to start? Under which government you got your license to start? So you shouldn't have criticized PPP at all then.
You're in the wrong business. You're in the wrong business if you decide to do that.
Going by that message, the logic of that person, you should have never criticized PPP. But this is a nonsense that we have come to, that you want. Because you hate Barrett Jagdeo or you hate Irfan Ali, we must accept that a band of merry men must thief, steal, cheat these elections because you hate two persons. Well, I know. I don't care about hate for any side. I know there will be another election, and whoever is in government, if they don't do what is right for this country, we vote them out again. I don't care who they are.
And if you would have missed that program last evening, it was not an easy time for Prime Ministerial candidate of the People's Progressive Party. More than likely, based on the recount, he will be the next Prime Minister. But it was not an easy time for Mark Phillips because we did grill him, Yog, on not only what he felt about the army, on the way forward. We talked about healing, on some of the things that he would be doing to whether he would become a square peg or he's going to get himself integrally involved in the operations to make things work, to make things improve. And so these are the job. Our job here is not to sit down and be nice to anybody. Our job here is to ensure that the hard questions are asked, the issues are discussed. Let us put it on the table there, and I'm sure that we have many bright people in this country here. They're able to analyze. You look at the level of conversation that we're having right now, right across this country on both sides of the divide. It is everybody is geared on one thing except a handful, a few, which is destruction. They want to see, the majority of people want to see, let us get this thing over with so we could deal with COVID-19. Too many people are starving. A lady called me this morning as I am on that. Lady said in our village here at Borbis and Kanji, it is so bad that we have to, neighbors are helping one another. You have a garlic, could you share it with me? And if you have 2 pound potato, could I have 1 potato? That's the kind of thing that's happening in York. She says, we want to do it. I have 5 children. I don't have a husband. The police force, I'm getting problems with the court system to get the man to pay his child support. So these are real issues that have to be dealt with. At the moment, what are we talking about? Let's get into power. I'm not going to declare. It's all about whether these votes are valid. Everybody has spoken about it. It's gone past the recount. CARICOM sent a team here. It was already signed off and says what we saw with the recount when the boxes were open, what we saw at the end of it with regards to the declaration is what we are signing off to. It gone straight to the CCJ. They've signed off on it and come back and said, well, you need to use the recount. How much more clear do you want it? Is it that your ears are blocked, you're not listening, or is it that you want to do the illegal things in Guyana? Well, let me tell you this, as was made very clear by this is the opposition leader by Jagdeo this morning. I don't think there's a media house in Guyana There's not going to be any international bodies, no country in the world which Guyana has a relationship with is going to allow any other thing except what is supposed to be coming, which is a declaration in due course on the recount. That is what it is. It's a logical thing to do. It's a lawful thing to do.
Yes. And Leonard, let me just say this. I've noticed on social media there is plan for PNC to have meetings all across the country. I think Ms. Ali will be I would ask our brothers and sisters from Linden to confirm, but Ms. Ali seems to be scheduled to be speaking in Linden on Monday, the 27th, and a number of persons are also going to go out to speak in different places. I want to appeal to this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I am making a personal appeal to you all. If they are coming to bring hampers, to bring foodstuffs, to bring bread, to bring ration to your community, come out in full force and collect your hampers and collect your foodstuff and collect the bread. But if they're coming to bring lies and deceit, turn your back on them. I would want to think, Leonard, that Ms. Ali is going to Linden and is going to probably take 2,000 or 3,000 hampers there and share out. And I would be first to call her and say, great job, take these hampers out and share it out. And if Mr. Ganesh and Mr. whoever and Ms. Ferguson and Raj Kumar and so forth going to Pomeroon and Anna Regina and Queenstown and stuff like that, ladies and gentlemen, if they are coming to bring food, if they're coming to bring hampers, if they're coming to bring well-needed rations, come out and collect your foodstuff and collect your hampers. If they are coming to bring lies and no food, don't even bother. They are not worth your time. At this stage, people need food. They don't need lies. People need clothing. People need shelter. People need protection. They don't need the lies and the hate and the comedy that these people are going to go present, Leonard. So I want to encourage everyone, when you hear a call that there will be a public meeting, they're telling you to wear masks without telling you we're going to bring masks for you. If the invitation says come to collect hampers, go. If it doesn't, stay home and stay out, because it means you are going to support your own inability to have another meal.
Mm-hmm. And so, Yog, if you want to say to people, if you're now joining us, it's elections and COVID-19 watch here. We're coming to you more than 143 days now, right here on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1, 99.5. You can also get us on Kaieteur Radio on Facebook. We have a new YouTube after we were blocked. You could see it on the screen there, and if you guys would be so kind to share it so the persons who are not aware that they could be able to get it, it's right up on our screen there. You could share it. What is it? It's in the Facebook description as well there, so you could be able to just share it for us and let the people know that they could be able to get it. So Yog,
I would really like to. I would really want to know whether one of our journalists can call the police and seek clarification that the police has issued permission for these public meetings. I want to know whether these public meetings have the permission of the police.
Absolutely, Yog, absolutely. And this is something, there seems to be a lot of contradictions here when it comes to regulations, directives that are issued by the Ministry of Health for the COVID-19, and then you have it blatantly that it's been advertised and the police not saying anything. So the police would have been stopping me on the road in the nights and asking me, you're an essential worker, but of course I am. And so if you're doing that to make sure that I'm not beyond 9 o'clock, how is it that you have a large crowd being allowed to gather in direct contradiction to those directives that you would have issued? So, of course, yes, Yoga, I hear you on that. So if you're now joining us, it is Elections Watch COVID-19, and this is what you need to know. 3 commissioners of the Guyana Election Commission this morning came out to denounce attacks on the chairperson, Claudette Singh. They're saying that while they might not agree with her in everything, the attacks are unwarranted. Some of the attacks have become very personal, going after her family. A few days back, you remember, a gentleman was charged. He created a fake Facebook account. He was even on this program here where we blocked him, threatening our people here, going after the women them and so who were looking at the program and going after the comments. He was charged and placed before the court. He threatened to burn down the chairman's property and so on, which is good work by the police, by the way. I didn't expect that. So we still have good people within the police force. The force as a whole has been doing a good work, and as Mark Phillips would have said last evening, he has full confidence that there will not be any interference from the army and the police, that they will act responsibly, professionally. That is his information. So also you would have heard from Bajag, the opposition leader, who would have been responding to that statement from the coalition yesterday, which said that they will not accept the recount figures. The opposition leader made it very clear this is totally unacceptable. He says, let there be a discussion, let there be a declaration before any talks or anything. We're not even going to go there. So he's saying that you're going to be putting yourself in another realm, even having any conversation about that. So that is where we are at the moment. There's of course that case that's coming up on Saturday morning, the appeals court. 3 judges are going to be listening to that case at 10 o'clock, starting 10 o'clock. We could expect a ruling as early as maybe Monday or Tuesday. So let us get ready for that. That's going to be live stream. Kaieteur Radio is going to bring that. In the meantime, Yog, let us tell our people that our numbers, because we want to hear you. The last couple of days, because of the court proceedings and then the OS, our lines, we could not open our lines the way that we wanted to. 226-7453, 226-7453. Many persons would have been complaining not being able to get through. It's only one line that we have. We're working on that. 62222, that's where you could text your messages to. We want to hear from you. COVID-19, how it's affecting you. We want to hear your thoughts about the political situation in Guyana, about this latest development. Yog, before we go to the lines, any quick thing that we may have missed that needs to be told to the people?
No, Leonard, I just want to remind everybody to please be very keen, be very alert. Do not fall prey to people who are coming to your area to have political meetings. Not now, not during COVID-19. If they're coming to distribute hampers, let them visit every home and distribute hampers. Don't come out to any political meeting. We all know the politics from APNU AFC presently is all lie all the time. And also, I think Mr. Joshua Van Slightman and Kevin Smith and Raj is there with you.
Yes, the Raj is here. Kevin is here.
Okay, Kevin and Raj and Josh. My beautiful wife Anita is sending some nice baked stuff there for you three, to ensure
Who
that
three?
Mr.
Am I
Leonard
included in that? Because I didn't hear you say
ensure that
Gildarie.
Mr. Leonard Gildarie can look at you eating. And if he begs and begs nicely, you can probably favor him with a piece.
Well, I'm glad that you said that's on air so the rest of the world. I'm not going to say a word. I like you as a brother. I love you as a brother. And so when the people see you do things like that to me, they wonder about you. But I'm not going to say anything to cast any aspersions on the
I
character. But
didn't say
that's
you
what it
shouldn't
is.
get. I
Okay.
didn't say you shouldn't get. I said you will get.
Well, I would not be incorrect to tell the people that my version of what I heard from you is not what you really wanted to tell me. I heard what I wanted to hear.
I'm going to take you to the CCJ, my friend.
You could try that and let's see what happens. I don't have to listen to what the CCJ says. So there's a
Well, there
caller.
you go.
Yeah. Good
Yes, we
afternoon.
can go to the line.
Yes. Caller, good afternoon. You're here.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Um, Bless you guys.
Thank you very much, sir.
With this whole thing that is going on, one of my observations, the relaxation of the curfew should tell you guys what the cabal have planned. That's one. Two, all of a sudden there are no active cases in Region 10 and Region 4. That said it all. Right? These people cares nothing about this nation. And I wish if the rest of my Guyanese brothers and sisters can open their eyes and realize the road that the APNU AFC selfish cabal want to take us down. They cares nothing about Guyana. Nothing that they're doing is with this country at heart and for the development of this country. Why do you think there was such a quick move to remove the chief of staff and send you on leave, but the commissioner of police is still there? Guyanese, wake up, open your eyes. We are not stupid. We are not stupid. We are not stupid, Mr. Green. Just need to stop playing a saint and playing that he is this Mr. Integrity and decent. The world already see through him like a piece of glass. The world know what we have to deal with in this country. And I am sorry for the rest of my Guyanese brothers and sisters who are following these people and being misled by their foolishness that they're doing. These people care nothing about you. You read that statement they issued yesterday, it tells you plain and straight. If we in the power, whatever happened to Guyana, we don't care. How can you want people like that to govern this nation? How can you want them to govern this nation? Then you got people on television, on a program that is being broadcast live to the world, lying to the international body. You watch the body language of the foreign affairs minister. She is so angry that she got to talk to these people. Because why? Guyana belongs to them. Guyana was given to them on a piece of paper. I had the experience of coming through Burnham and Desmond Heights. I know the PNC. And God help Guyana. God help Guyana. I love my country. I'm going to fight for democracy in my country to the end. This have nothing to do with black and coolie and pink and yellow that James Bond and Christopher Jones and these guys trying to tell people is a race thing. No, the judge that they want in place is not in place. They're destroying the character of the judge at the appeal court. They're destroying the character of the chief justice. They're destroying the character of the chairman. Where are all of these women organizations that is run out and open the mouth and spit when things start to happen? I ain't hearing from none of them now. Soon as the thing about Roe Johnson came up, a set of women come out and talking this. Where are they now? Yeah? We need to stop being biased and face it as it is, man.
Thank you very much, caller. And I think you are reflecting what a lot of people are thinking.
All right, you guys enjoy your day, yourself and Mr. Mahadeo. I pray that God protection on you guys and your family. And, you guys are doing a wonderful job, because if we didn't have a forum like this, certain people would have continued to buy the crap that the cabal is selling. But because of forum like this, we can get the truth and able to understand what is really going on. So I appreciate and I thank you guys for that.
Thank you very much, dear caller, and do have a pleasant rest of the day. And of course, I must tell you that I've been asked by my guys in the studio to ask our viewers to subscribe to Kaieteur Radio live stream. We're using our backup account, and we'll use it until the main account is back up. We're streaming there right now. Just share it. The link that is on the screen. It's also on the Facebook description. So we're asking you to do that so everybody could be able to join us. A couple of persons who don't have the Facebook account, they have been dependent on the YouTube, and that has been blocked, of course. I tell you the wickedness that is happening there. So thank you very much for assisting us with that. Somebody is texting us here right now, Jorgen, telling us that they're hearing about 2 deaths in Region 9, COVID-19 deaths. We have not had that information yet. We're going to try to get to the bottom of it. If that is indeed the case, it is indeed more worrying. Every day, I think we have gone to 350 cases now. The number of cases keep rising. So what Jorg and I would have said in the beginning, more than 140 days back, please, folks, take this thing very, very serious. It is not. We're not going to be out of the COVID-19 situation for another couple months. This is not something that's going to go away. I don't think it should be recommended. Also, Jorg, the Minister of Education is missing in action. It's either they're in or they're out. We have not heard from Nicolette Henry for weeks now, and nobody's saying what's happening. In the meantime, we have CAPE and CSEC students who are writing the exams. God in heaven knows. God in heaven knows how those kids would have made it. The kind of stress that this COVID-19 and also elections would have been brought upon them and their families. Many of them are not too well off, and yet they would have gone and do it. So we recognize that from the radio here, Dr. Mahadeo and himself, our entire crew. The people of Guyana appreciate it. The sacrifice that would have been made, your resilience, your strength through this very trying time. So all the best. We encourage you to give it your best shot. We are in it, but please remain safe. Yoga, I think you might even be a little more eloquent than I am on that. That's something that really worried me about those students. Yogi, there?
Leonard. Yes,
Yes.
it is indeed worrying. Leonard, our children are all we have to offer to our future, and our future is all we have to offer to our children. As a country, I see us, adrift. There is no political, no honesty among the politicians that wants to stay in power, to continue to squat in power. I see earlier you mentioned that person, I was going to say gentleman, but I stopped short, that person who gave himself a name like Rahim Rahman, Rahman Rahim, that gave himself that name to threaten the chairman of GCOM. And I just want to raise this with viewers and listeners. I found it odd, Leonard, that gentleman would use a Muslim name to do such desperate acts. Is it because Irfan Ali is a Muslim? Is it because that is the depth of depravity that this government, this cabal, is now up to? Is that the depth that we are sinking to? Leonard, it is no accident that he chose that name. And whoever is his intellectual author would have told him what to do and would have directed him. And have you noticed any statement from Granger or his cabal denouncing that? Have you noticed any statement from Granger and his cabal denouncing the use of a Muslim name to incite people? Not a word from them, Leonard.
What about the ERC?
And the ERC, this use of names by racists, whether they use Indian names or they use Afro-Guyanese names or they use Amerindian or whatever names they feel they want to use, the use of names has shown the lowness of which people, their intellectual authors, are sending them towards. And whoever is the intellectual author of that fella who chose that name, the name of God, mind you, to do what he did, speaks well to those who are today silent. Because Leonard, they could always say, well, they don't know who these people are. This one, they know. And there is absolute silence.
Absolutely, the yoke. And so to all those persons, all our people who have been struggling day in, day out, who've been calling us, who've gone through this COVID-19, and we know thousands of you without a job, without anything much happening. A lady told me this morning that she's almost out of her bank account is empty, the little money that she had, because she lost her job, and it is what many families are going through. Bear it safe. We have to stand by each other. Like I said, in every community, do not wait on an NGO to come. If you have something and you could share with your neighbors, it is imperative that we do our own little thing in our communities for our little neighbor. Let's start there. Charity begins at home. It's something we've been saying. Yoga's been preaching it. Myself, let's put a prayer for this land. Let us start looking out for our neighbors, our brothers and sisters. They might be of a different ethnicity, they might be back in a different party, does not matter. Let us show that we have what it takes to be a different people. When they say, when a handful of people would be encouraging us to go low, we are going to go high. We're going to do what's the correct thing. We're going to do what is the godly thing. If you don't believe in God, even if that you don't believe in God, you could do what is the humane thing to do. Let us help a brother, let's help a sister, let's help a family that's in need. And if you could start right within your community, start right within your neighborhood, look towards your neighbor, what is happening, pay attention. You might have something, give it to them. If you've cooked something and you could give them a plate of food, let us do that. I can't even begin to tell you that maybe you have a garden or something, start sharing it. So we could do a little until such time. I think the law is going to take its course. The people, this thing can't last forever. People are going to, we are going to see results. The pressure is too much. So, Yog, I think we are going to go read one message, go straight to the phone lines. Good afternoon, guys. The statement from the PNC is indeed concerning. It is basically saying that no matter what the outcome of the case is and whatever GCOM says, they will stay in power. As a young citizen of this country, I'm curious though, if GCOM declares the rightful win and they refuse to give up or transferred power, then where does that leave the people? Well, this is a question that was asked to Mr. Mark Phillips last evening. And of course, it's a place that we haven't even started looking. It's a fearful place that we'd be if there's indeed a refusal and there's a declaration. Dr. Yoga, Mr. Gildarie, can you enlighten me? I don't know if this can be answered on air. I logged on to the show a little late. I don't know if it was answered already. Thank you very much. Yog, this was a question about if there's a declaration last evening post to Mark Phillips. Maybe you could bring us back to some of the answers, and maybe off your own, if you could tell us where does that leave us. Nobody knows.
What would have been the question directly, Leonard?
We would have asked, I think the question came up to Mr. Mark Phillips, and this is what this person is asking as well. If there's a declaration based on the recount, and there's a refusal by the coalition to depart office, what happens then?
Well, you would recall that we asked that question last week when we had Anil Nandlal.
Right.
We asked that last night when we had Mark Phillips. And at most of the political commentators, including, well, tonight we're going to have Mr. Freddie Kissoon. Most political commentators would want to hold on the repercussions therefrom. Leonard, next week, Wednesday, interestingly, we will get Sir Ron Sanders on our Room 592. And that will be a question we certainly will have. Because ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, if the PNC is intent on staying in power and they defy any declaration by the chairman, it means that the people who call themselves judges and magistrates in this country can pack up, because there is no role for the judiciary anymore. There is no role for anything. I can foresee that the APNO AFC would want to force down the throats of people to take no matters to the CCJ and stuff like that. And this is all based on their attitude towards the courts over the past couple of weeks. Now, with regards to the state of Guyana, as we said a couple of days ago, I am not going to bend. I am not going to bend, and Guyanese will not bend and bow to a dictatorship. If you are staying in power against the rule of law, it means you are a dictatorship. And yesterday, you and I, Leonard, we called it. We said that statement by APNO AFC is basically launching of a dictatorship. So what will obviously happen is that the sanctions are going to come, and the sanctions that Granger himself called for. Ladies and gentlemen, they're behaving like sanctions have now started. Granger and Williams are two voices that are on record in 2015 that were calling on the whole AFC was picketing in front of the American embassy to say bring sanctions against the PPP government. Leonard, the PPP did what was right. They got voted out of office and they left. And they did not put Guyana through the shame. But to answer the question, specifically, there'll be more sanctions. Guyana will not be able to import, will not be able to export. We can export, but the money won't get to come in. People who have been expecting a $5, $20 to $100 through MoneyGram and all of that, all the wire transfer things are going to stop. Basically, the country is going to come to a standstill, which it virtually is in presently. Leonard, Derek Singh, Pastor Jean, Pastor Jean is online presently. Brother Ravi from Canada, you have gotten a ton of them. Brother Azar, Brother Imtiaz, Brother Roche, Brother Farmer, all of these people are donating monies presently. Mm-hmm. Right? Look, Pastor Jean. Pastor Jean took part of her retirement money to help the kids in Guyana to get a meal, Leonard. But ultimately, their money is going to run out. How long are we going to continue to brace each other when you have a government that doesn't care? Leonard, harken back to the 1980s and what we would have heard and what many of us would have experienced. No food, no potable water. Right? Those times, and what was high in the air then? If you wanted education, you got to go to, what the place name? National Service. Mm-hmm. If you wanted university education, you got to serve. Right? And many, many, many Guyanese did not want to risk going in the interior to serve at the National Service, to serve in Kimbia for the fear of about their personal safety. And thus, they chose to not even attend the university. If you wanted a public servant job, you had to have a party card. Mm-hmm. Those are the kind of days we probably will be coming back to, Leonard.
Yes, thank you very much, Yog. Your last caller made my hair stand on, and he painted a very clear picture of the reality of who we're dealing with in the Apnu Cabal. Thank you for doing what you do. Not only a Muslim name, but one of the names of Allah. There's a caller line. Yes, good day, caller. You're in the air.
Hello?
Yes, good day, caller. You're in the air.
Yeah, man. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
To you and Mr. Yog.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Yog is saying that unless the people go in and carry food, and he gives these people hamper, don't Mr. Yog realize that some of the supporters for the AFC, PNC right now, Granger and Basil Williams and all of them, are giving them food every day? Lying to them is like food to them. Lie to them and misleading them is like food. Do you realize that these people don't want to hear nothing else? What they are saying basically, if PNC don't win, they get the declare illegal a winner, they are not going to accept, and they want to sit to the table. Well, I want to say, as a supporter of the PPP, I'm calling on Barjagdale. I'm saying this publicly: do not negotiate with terrorists. If they want to negotiate, let the country get sanctioned. Let all of them who are running on the road. I know it's going to be hard. I know it will be hard. But you know what? Sometimes you got to feel it for know it. Mm-hmm. He's giving them food every day by lying to them. There's the food. He's brainwashing them. These people don't want to see it. Not that they can't see. They don't want to accept what they're seeing. Some of them realize it. And some of them, this is not the full PNC bunch. This is just a handful of people running to hold this country back. And mm-hmm. people who want to make a living and make a progress in this country, they just want to destroy everything. So I'm saying to Barrett Jagde when you're finally, Mr. Please, sorry about that. Go ahead, let the world sanction us. And within 6 months or a year, the very people on the road were hollering Granger or nothing, it's going to holler Granger must go. Barrett, please do that. This is the only alternative. They have no negotiating. What is the position? What are we going to do? Are we going to allow some minister who just lied to this whole world to still be ministers? And earlier you guys were talking about the Bar Association. The Bar Association is only see when some people do things in this country. Gildarie, we have to accept that for some people, just smiling is breaking the law. And so for some people, breaking the law is not a problem. For the law keepers, it's okay. We're not going to do them anything. We have to accept as reality. Some people cannot do it. Just slip and you're going to get problems.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to go. I'm saying this, when this case done Sunday or Monday, wherever it is, they're not going to go anyway. They're not going to come out. They don't care anything. They're telling you. If I was the Chancellor of the Judicial, I wouldn't even hear the case no more, because it doesn't make sense. Because wherever you rule, they're not going to accept unless it is in their favor. They want everybody to break the law to please them. They're not studying that somewhere along the line that these people watching these people performance.
Mm-hmm.
These people are, the Caribbean Court of Justice, some of these people have a future there in time to come. Do you think they're going to just, oh, no, we can't take he or we can't take she? She was doing this and she was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, my brother, I know you guys there in there. Keep up the fight, keep up the top. I know we there, we listening every day. And if you open this phone a little more often, you would hear the real amount of people in this country who are hurting. The true amount. Enough people don't get through. Gildarie, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear sir. Thank you very much, dear caller. Good day to you. And so, good afternoon to you, sir. I'm living in BV. People are starving here in BV. Nothing to eat. My dad is not getting work to maintain. Plus, GWI is calling us to pay the water bill, or else they will come cut us off. And my dad is not getting work. I'd be happy if a president can be swear in, so work will start flow again and we could get back normal food to eat. Please, sir. And that is coming. That is a heartfelt plea there from somebody, one of our listeners, one of our viewers. Dr. Jorgen Gildarie, good afternoon. Situation seems grim. In the 1980s, the life expectancy for Guyanese was 52 years. This was a product of dictatorship. The life expectancy increased to 62 years around 2005. This was a product of democracy. My fellow Guyanese, this is a harsh reality we faced, and regardless of our color, race, creed, or political conviction, we as Guyanese unite and fight for democracy. Madam Chairwoman needs to go ahead in short order and make the declaration. Then we should rock back and wait for the next move. It is time for them to be pushed. That's coming from one of the persons who have sent us our text to 62222. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I must say I was very young in boredom days, but I do recall the first time for dinner my mom had to make rice because she had no flour, and my little brother cried not wanting to eat it. He went to bed hungry that night without eating. I also remember my parents crying. My dad worked as a village overseer, and on election day, the GDF would take him in their vehicle to follow the ballot boxes. It was just all for show. When they got to a certain location, they would let him out. My parents took us out of Guyana the first chance they got. It breaks my heart knowing that the Guyanese people are going through this today, and I don't believe their own supporters understand how their lives will be affected. Let me go on quickly. See some others here, Yog. All right. There's anything before we go to the lines again, Yog?
Sorry, Leonard, not really, except to say that, that last caller is spot on again.
Yeah, man.
And there are lots of people across this country that is punishing. And I see a lot, the message you just read, a lot of persons would have heard from their parents what dictatorship was like, what rigging of elections were like from 1964 right down to 1985. Rigging of elections one after the other. Leonard, and people complain about extrajudicial killing. I want to remind them, it hasn't stopped. Extrajudicial decisions and extrajudicial activities has continued up to this day. Listen to when some of the attorneys, when some of the wise people speak, Leonard. People have this notion of wanting to say extrajudicial activities took place only during certain time. What happened from 1964 to 1985? What happened to those boys that were killed at ballot box martyrs? What happened to all those people during all those years, Leonard? What happened to all the people from May 2015 to now? So the argument about all of these things, sometimes people just throw it up so that they could be satisfied with some little confusing kind of a narrative they want to create for themselves. The reality cannot be changed. And that is that these squatters want to continue to stay in office against the will of the people. The will of the people is the will of the people. We will not bend. And our forte is that non-cooperation with evil is a sacred duty, Leonard.
Yes, Yogi, it is indeed true. Good afternoon. Apnu is behaving like the proverb, but necessity knows no law. If the need is great, then the law is disregarded. Apnu is in need of power or power hungry. That is a text that has come in. There's a caller online. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Yug.
Yes, you're on air. You're on Kaieteur News. Kaieteur Radio, sorry.
Oh, you see, these people, they only hold on to power. And look, we have to go to the hospital to get a little medication. You're not getting like Panadol.
Which hospital is that, sir?
Just have put you in the hospital. You got to me a diabetic, me got insulin.
Uh-huh.
You not get them, you have to buy them. You know the work where you get, where little work where you get. You got to find food, you have to find buy insulin for $5,000 from Adler. How people can get to live with them people. That is what makes people get over fast-feeding now. We can never think in 2005 when you got this flood in around. Quick time by the government decision, give everybody one duty, and everybody can do them business. The only thing I want to know is the task force, you can start to feel it, they're not get to it.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, there, caller. And so, good day. Continue the great job, you guys. My question for some folks out there is: Mr. Norton from the PNC, is he a legal practitioner? Also, why and on what grounds is he entitled to question the decision of the Chief Justice? There's an opinion why she's the Chief Justice and not him. So this is somebody that's making things. I'm not sure. You want to answer that, Yoga, or just leave it as this?
Well, there is no answer to it. Mr. Norton is a political creature, political person that is an executive of the PNC. I don't know that he holds a position in APNU AFC, but he's an executive of the PNC.
Yes. Yog and Leonard, God is on your side. Do not be afraid. Western journalists have been killed because the spoken speak the truth. Al Jazeera is banned in some Middle East country because they speak the truth. KK News is now Guyana's Al Jazeera. Stay safe. Well, I'm not sure we have gone to the stage where people lives are that. I think it's just a couple of bullies who want to see whether the people, they're testing the waters. I think the statement here, somebody said they're testing the water to see whether the people would accept, because on the last line, so let's have talks with the stakeholders and the political parties. So I think it's just a couple of persons who are trying to see whether they could stay in a little longer. I think maybe that's it. It's really disappointing because I think you and I spoke, we've been talking about the need, what happens next, to have the conversation. And Parliament is going to have to convene sometime or the other. I hope to God that we have an opposition in place to be able to take up their appointments to the various committees, like the Public Accounts Committee and the other committees that has to do with the standing order committees and so on, that has the opposition plays a very key role, a very important role in those committees. And so if you're not having, as of now, you don't have them in place, or they don't have any intention to be in opposition, I'm extremely worried that you're going to have a situation where constitutionally you might not have good representation. In Parliament, especially in those committees, you're supposed to have people there, and if you have a couple of people on one side, what do you expect is going to happen? The smaller parties, the new parties, they're not going to be sitting there. It is the coalition that is going to have to be sitting there. So they have to do the job. And we would like them to be responsible so they could hold the feet of the People's Progressive Party, Civic, to the fire, because that's what a good opposition does. And so that's a conversation that we need to impress upon them, the importance of start putting in your mind, it's not the end of the world that you're going to be sitting in the opposition. It is going to be a very difficult presidency for a finale, whether we like it or not. They would have to take a hands-on approach right from day one on the COVID-19. They would have to deal with the economy They would have to deal with what is happening around the world with trade and everything because of COVID-19. So many things that would have to happen. I don't envy the job that Irfan Ali and the People's Progressive Party Civic would have to do when they enter office. It's going to be very difficult. Very, very difficult, Jog.
Correct, Leonard. And let me also say this to one of the persons that would have called in earlier, I think it was a call and not a message. Mark Phillips, Brigadier Mark Phillips, did say last night that they're not willing and they're not going to negotiate under duress. They're not going to negotiate under threats. And I think the General Secretary of the PPP would have made a statement earlier today to that point too. But ladies and gentlemen, Leonard, if I may, I would want to humbly, gently disagree with you from the following perspective. Mm-hmm. You are right, they're trying a thing, they're trying to see if they could steal power and stay in power. And I noticed that quite a lot of our viewers and listeners, it is true, ladies and gentlemen, this too shall pass. But you know what will not pass, Leonard? The damage that is done to our people. Up to today, ask anybody that is 50 years and above about the Burnham days. They have never forgotten it. And their immediate generation, their children would have been told everything about it. Now, today, what is happening? Every man, woman, and child, every child that is above 4 or 5 years old will remember these elections for the rest of their lives, Leonard. This has damaged the psyche of our people, our ability to trust one another, our ability to work with each other, our ability to look out for each other, Leonard. That is what APNU AFC has done to this country, has damaged our psyche as a people. Yes, we will rise above it. And it is not only going to be up to Irfan Ali's government or the PPP government or the other government after that or whatever. It will be up to us as a people to lift ourselves up regardless of who's in power and to say we can move on. We can forgive. We are not going to forget. We can forgive and move on. But Leonard, what you have today, man, you have today barefaced liars that are now sharing out pamphlets that they want to come speak in my village. What am I going to tell my child about these people who's coming to this village to speak? Without, as I said, without bringing a hamper, without bringing any help, without bringing anything for my child who might need a meal. The damage, Leonard, will last for generations to come. And that is the sad truth, my friend. Did you get the banana bread?
No, I didn't get anything. I think you're trying to set me up. But I leave my good people, our good people here to judge. I'm going to give them an update as to that banana bread. But York, I want to tell you a story because I received a call recently. Recently, I received a call. It's a very good friend in the police force, and he is from the other. He's not Indian. And the man says, I watch you guys, I've been following you guys. I want to say thank you very much. He says, I've been on the job here. They call it inline the police force. It means that you're on call 24/7. You are in lockdown at the police station because of the elections. It's not over yet. It has been more than 4.5 months now since all the police stations across the country would have been on that inline process there. It has been a very tough time. The man says, I have not been able to see my family properly, more than 4.5 months now. He's living right in, at one of the police stations there for months on and weeks. And he says, if you see the situation there, I could go on, but what he's saying is that, what really struck me is that if you see the fracture that is within the police force at the moment because of these elections, and when you would have talked not too long ago about the damage that has been done to our communities, to our people because of elections. Our country is not a hating country where I see you, they might have one, two persons might have a little, and it goes on both sides. You and I've got to admit that on both sides there's a little feeling. It's natural, human beings. Maybe you come out of product of an environment, but what is important? Our people are loving people. And he says, if you see the fracture that is in there in the police force because of these elections, and that is what our politicians, a handful of people, would have done to our people. How do you forgive people like this, Yog? How do you start telling yourself, you know, I want to look at you. You are going to go into our parliament. I want to have respect for you. That you would do that to our people and still have the capacity, have the audacity, I think some people would use that word, to stare at me in my, or to look at me in my eyes and say that you have done a good deed for this country, or that you would still want to remain a representative of the people. How do you do that? How do you live with yourself when you would have done all this? And people are literally crying not only because of COVID, but because of what our society has ended up to, that you're living in a neighborhood. I live in a street, all kinds of people live in there, from Brazilian to Venezuelan to everything. I walk down there and it's quiet in the street. People lower their heads. I'm not sure if they're scared, but I think maybe, I rather think that maybe they don't know what to say. Maybe you're going to come out with a different thing to say. But people are hurting you. People want
People are
answers.
hurting. People
People
are hurting.
people want this thing over with and done. I don't know how to say it, but it hurts me because that is not who we are. I've grown up during the hard 80s too. I lived in Enmore, York. I used to fetch water from the side dam in two little saucepans. I was a little skinny little kid, running there, and I know what is hardship. You don't have to tell me what it is. I know what is 1985. I wrote Common Entrance in 1985, yo. So I know about hardship. So when it comes to what our people would have gone through, and I see the boys walking in here, royally, yo, with banana cake in the hand, and Solara too. Thank you very much. I got to show the
You're
people
welcome.
this. I got to show the people this.
You're lucky. You're lucky. You're lucky. I begged them to give you
Yog
a
has come
piece.
through. Thank you, Anita.
That
It
sounds
can be
good.
Yog that did it. But
I begged the boys to give you a piece. You're lucky. You got a good brother like me.
thank you very much, my buddy. You've come through, and that is unfortunate that we can't say the same for some of the people that we would have expect who should know better, who should do better. There's a caller online. Yes, good afternoon, caller. You in the air?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I haven't heard from you a very long time. Very
I
familiar
took a
voice.
I took a break because I'm tired of all this happening. But I'd like to make a few points. The first one is I did hear Mr. Yog said that whatever he's sending is for those guys and you have to beg. So he didn't plan to send any for you. So I support you there.
Thank you.
Secondly, I agree with a part of what the caller said. I, being a security guard, know a lot more than security.
I know.
I have challenged many times over the period of years decisions of lawyers of the Bar Association. And so I agree they are selective when they come out to speak, and they don't speak when it's the right time. But coming back to the whole big picture, one of the things that is something our 54 years we have developed a system in this country.
We're losing you there, little caller.
Yeah? Oh,
We're
sorry.
losing a little.
Yes, we have developed a 54 years principle among our civil society and professionals where we have placed ourselves leaning in different directions for political parties time and time again. And today what we're seeing is a culmination of all that where people don't trust this one, people don't trust that one. What we do need is to really have a discussion. I talked about my fears as a PVP, and my fears doesn't make the results disappear and the people that vote change it. That's the democratic process. The fact of the matter is to be in a country and to see us define the world of people who are standing up for rights the way we are doing, it is shameful and disgraceful. The other fact is we are never ever going to end up back in a stage where people are going to riot in this country. That's not going to happen. This is a different time and a different era. What we need to do is find out. Somebody need to ask Mr. Granger, because he says he represents any statement coming from the people. What are we negotiating on? Who is the facilitator of this negotiation, and will whatever the negotiations end result be, will it be truly accepted and we need it in writing if we ever going to go down that road, because we cannot take nobody's word for it anymore. I just hope and pray that this finishes quickly because many people are suffering. I'm a justice security guard. I try to help as I can. And even I sometimes can't help, but I start to see what's going on around, how people are hungry. Thank you very much. I'll just make comments after.
Thank you very much. And as usual, our security guard, and I use security guard in inverted commas there, York. I don't believe he's a security guard. I believe he's more than that. But words of wisdom. He's always brought the comments that has really touched my heart in so many ways, York. He's saying the right thing. We don't have to back a political party or any party for that matter, and not to demand our rights, not to demand the rule of law. As citizens, we always have to have that sense of thinking that the rule of law should be followed. When we think it as normal that you're driving along the road and you have a broken taillight or you did something, one of your documents has expired, and you make sure that you have a few $1,000s in your pocket in case the police stop you, then you are the one that is encouraging lawlessness. And so if you do the right thing, if you go into the United States, you dare not drink and drive, because it's almost like murder if they charge you. You know what happens and the amount of things that could happen to you because of drunk driving. It's the same thing here. We should be demanding, we should be asking, we should be calling our neighbors, everybody to rise up and say this is not something. It has nothing to do with any political party. It has to do with the rule of law. You know how mad it is going to be to have a government that sits there that maybe sees a little girl child. I think I'm going to use the words of the boys in the street. Your little girl child there and say that belongs to us because there's no rule of law. They could take that child because you can't have a word to say it. We are going to start opening the floodgates for many things to happen. This is not what this country is about. We've come too far, we've suffered. I see the comments there, people talking about the 80s. You would have spoken about the 80s, Yog, and how we would have suffered, Yog. And this is not a place that we want to go back to.
That caller made a very, very, very important point, and thank you, my brother, for calling in. Leonard, it is so very true. In fact, I had tweeted something to that effect. APNO AFC wants to negotiate. They're open for negotiations. Who can ever trust? Let us just say that, okay, we say we're going to negotiate. Who could ever trust whatever they say in a negotiation? Any agreement that is made with APNO AFC will end up at the court, end up at the Court of Appeal, end up at the CCJ, and when they finish here, go back to the court and go back to the Court of Appeal, and they're going to say, well, we didn't mean should, we meant could. We didn't mean shall, we meant will. And you know, who can, even if you were to say, let us negotiate, who can ever trust whatever APNO AFC has to say? They have blatantly, yes, 2 days ago they went to the OAS and they lied blatantly in front of everybody. So who could trust? And you mentioned the 1980s. I am sure the people, I'm sure, Leonard, you may remember. You remember the exercise books?
Mm-hmm.
You remember the exercise books, ladies and gentlemen, that had the president's picture? You had to adore it every day. The maximum leader. And Leonard, you remember those days of paramountcy of the party, where the party flag was being flown at police stations and public buildings. So that's the kind of thing, and that's where Granger came out from. That's the kind of thing that we have as a threat to Guyana's future, Leonard. And I don't want to scare people, because as a people, we can rise, we can have a period of non-cooperation with evil, but the truth is, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it, and we must not forget the past. This is where Guyana has come from, and we are not going to allow Guyana to go back there.
Thank you very much. And I see one of our commentators here would be saying there's a big accident somewhere. Could we get some details? If I hope that is not indeed the case. And I'm going to read some comments in the meantime while our people get back to us there. The APNO FC is using the radio station each and every day to spread the false narrative about the 2020 elections. Sir, I would like to know who's paying for airtime on prime time. And yes, we did hear that NCN at prime time around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening is taking a private channel that carries the line or the collation stories uh, on NCN. And so, if this is indeed the case, we did talk about audits and we did talk about that. So, it is, we have to, if it has been paid for, I think after this is all over, I think NCN also would have to answer whether it's being paid for, who's paying for it. Um, Hi, okay, let me see. There's another caller in line. Let's go to the calls. Yes, good day, caller. You're on the air. Yes, good day, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good day.
Good day. Could you lower? You have your radio up? Just lower it down a little, please.
Okay. I just have asked two questions. I listened to all the comments. The first question is, if one of these, if any one of these international agents, one of these international countries, who are often coming from Guyana, the OAS, CARICOM, and such like, or these embassies, they have made a famous comment where they say they don't have an arse in the race. But let's say one of these people favor a particular party. You honestly expect they will come out and say, I prefer the coalition or I prefer the PDP? This is one question. And the second question is that if an NPP is declared the winner, do you guys expect that the coalition is going to parliament? These are my two questions.
Yes, thank you very much, dear, for that. Yog, you want to have try on that?
The last one, yes. The last one first. If, when, not if, when, it's a matter of when the new government is sworn in, APNO AFC, I believe they will go to parliament. I believe they will go to parliament under the guise of something, but they cannot lose their perks. They're not going to want to risk losing their perks. They're not going to risk to lose their duty-free concessions and medical and all of that. They will go to parliament. What they might want to do, what they might want to tell this country is that they're not going to vote on certain things. But I believe they will go to parliament. And mind you, caller, whether they go to parliament or not, what's going to happen is that in 2025, well, now 2026 maybe, there's going to be another general elections. And I believe a new force will rise in Guyana. And that new force will see a conglomeration of everybody that wants to ensure there is good governance in Guyana. And that is providing the PPP screws up. If it doesn't screw up, well, then maybe hopefully, it can see itself in a longer term. But if it screws up again, you're going to see new parties come and becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. So the PNC, I would say at this stage, it's up to them to wake up and smell the coffee, or they are in their death throes presently. It's pitiable to see what has happened to a party that had such dreams and had such visions under Burnham and under whatever they started as, but to see where it has come, it is self-destruct, Leonard. I certainly believe that they will go to parliament because one cannot forget, it's all about opportunism. It's all about opportunism in this country. They have shown us their hand that all they're interested is in power and title and glory, not about the people of this country. And I bet to say they will go to parliament.
Thank you very much, Yog. Good afternoon, Leonard and Yog. I'm from Long Creek on the Linden Highway. Keep up the good work on behalf of the members of Banakari. I never heard about that one. I know, I think there's another name that I know in that area there, that we went down at the back by, I forget what was that name, Madawini? It's Madawini, I think it is. Any case, this is what the point is. Back in Burnham days, everybody had to get in line for the most basic necessities. it would seem as if they and the supporters have selectively forgotten about such time. The handful of supporters that are backing them would be those who benefited from such tragic time, yet they're blind to what is going on around them. What lies are these people telling the supporters? Is it the magic that PNC that binds them to their surroundings? And that is coming from Long Creek on the highway there. Uh, and then also there's another one here. Compliments. Okay, let's go to a call there. There's a caller in line. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. We missed that one there. Yoga, this evening we are going to have Freddie Kissoon. Freddie
Yes.
Kissoon has been very outspoken, has called some areas that he made some predictions and so on. You believe he's going to continue on that same line, especially with those developments, statements that would have come out yesterday, and so on?
Well, yes, I certainly think so. I would want to ensure that tonight we can discuss Freddie's thoughts about the makeup of the coalition itself. That what is the WPA anymore? What is the AFC anymore? I want to have some hard discussions on that. I want to also have some open discussions on whether whether APNU AFC can be trusted to enter into any negotiations with. So certainly we're going to be pushing Freddie to look at some of these things and to take us through his thinking, what we can expect. Leonard, I also want to quickly mention that in today's discussion, we highlighted a couple things. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind everybody of something we said yesterday. The chairman of GCOM has to realize that with APNU AFC statement as of yesterday, they have basically said that unless she is ready to call AFC APNU victory, that they're not willing to accept anything else. I don't know whether Ramjatan, whether Nagamutu, whether Patterson, whether the members, all of the people from the various parts of the coalition is in agreement with that statement, but they have not said no. They have not come out opposing it. Therefore, they're all in agreement with that statement. Leonard, the chairman has to realize that regardless when, whether it's tomorrow, next year, the other year, whenever she's ready to make a declaration, the APNU AFC will disagree with it. So she better be prepared to do that tomorrow, very, very soon. When I say tomorrow, I mean very soon. I would also like to call out members of the Secretariat of GCOM. Speak out. You guys know what has transpired behind those walls. You have seen where the folios are. You have seen where those bags with the books and so forth are. You have seen what is happening there. And I want to ask the Secretariat of GCOM, speak out. Do not fear that you will be fired for speaking the truth. The truth will instead set you free. You are being bondaged by lies, by cheating, by stealing. And so, ladies and gentlemen of the GCOM Secretariat, you know where those black plastic bags are with the books and with the documents. You know where those envelopes are. You need to unburden your heart with the lies that has been perpetrated upon this nation and speak out. Leonard, this country needs some people with conscience, needs some people with the ability to speak, more people with the ability to speak the truth, to fearlessly speak up and speak out, so that we can put this tragedy behind us and say that we have people that we can look up to. Because presently, Leonard, there are not many.
They're getting there. I think people are coming out. They're coming out of the shell now. So good day to those people along the Linden Highway. Good day to Linden, Region 10. A good day to you, Region 7, 8, 9, 10. Region 2, how are you guys doing up there? I think Affiance did get a call from Affiance this morning and on the Essequibo coast. And of course, Berbice. And here's a text from somebody in Berbice. 2 weeks ago, I was arrested around 18:45 hours and kept in custody all night until 1 p.m. the next day when I was passed through the Whim Court because the police refused to listen that I am 2 houses away from my home and went out to get public transportation to take my 2-year-old to the hospital who had a high fever. Now it's suddenly okay for a large gathering while others are being brought in at midnight, can call relatives in the force and immediately released. And Yog, this is something we've been hearing about. It is something that is very, very serious. We have a total contradiction when it comes to how this whole COVID thing and enforcement is happening. On one hand, we're saying do not be in groups, and on the other hand, you walk down Regent Street and say, what the hell is happening here? On the other hand, you see people without masks. On the other hand, you see people just after 6 o'clock, police calling them in. Come, you need to come in the station, pass through the court the next day. So is there a rule for one? Is there maybe court hearing for another? What is happening here? If the police are listening, they need to do something better than this. And we still have not heard from the police how the police commissioner's vehicle ended up in front of a nightclub, an adult entertainment bar. A couple days back, did somebody use the police commissioner's vehicle? We're not sure. The police, if you're listening to us, Police Commissioner Leslie James, you're a decent man, I know that. And police PRO, Mr. Ramlakan, what's happening here? So here you have somebody who's saying he was 2 houses away and he went out to get a vehicle for his daughter who has a high fever. How did this person end up in court? And they're complaining here. So, Yoga, these are the kind of situations that you see occurring when nobody pays attention. The small man, the normal citizen on the street, they're falling through the cracks. A lot of hunger happening out there, and people are not paying attention to them. You're trying. A good day to Mr. Roy Bipat, Paul Chung, Bipat of Giflan, Mr. Raj and Mohin Prasad of Nan Prasad Group, Paul Chong of Bihari, and of course my dear friend Ken Vincent of Food for the Poor. I know that you guys are doing a terrific job there trying to see the limited resource that you get that could reach out to the people of Guyana. Good day to you, gentlemen, and of course the many who would have used the NGOs, including yours, Yog Mahadeo, the Guyana Pride Foundation, which I'm part of. They've been doing tremendous work there, seeing what they could do. They've emptied almost everything that I had in my home, my kitchen. That's a good thing. I feel good about it at the end of the day. Politicians need to wake up, Yog, and see that our people are in need. Lead by example. You need to start looking at the human aspect of things here. It's not only about staying in power, but you need to really do your job and get out there. If you've lost the elections, walk with your head up in the air. Do not allow the people to be cursing you every single day or praying on you. This is something that's happening. So there's another caller online. Yes, caller. Good afternoon. You're on air.
Hello.
Yes, you're on air. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, Dr. Mahadeo and Mr. Gildarie.
Yes.
Now, I watched the OAS meeting a few days ago, and I noticed they were leaders. They made a lot of commendations to the Guyanese nation for their patience and their silence, and behaving in a civilized manner throughout what we have been facing. I cannot undoubtedly say that I am confident the Guyanese nation should be commended for their silence on the situation. I mean, are we really exercising patience, or are we showing tolerance for the state of lawlessness we're in? Because right in front of our noses here, the APNU AFC, or the PNC, as we want to call them to now, is drilling in the direction of anarchy. Mm-hmm. Now, what you guys are doing is very important, because this is a constant reminder to the people that the power lies in the people's hand, and the people need to be reminded of this on a daily basis. Compliments to you guys and kudos for this what you're doing. The people is the power, and it is in that power that the change will come. Now, we have watched on silently and patiently as the PPPC leaders climb the stairs of the courts for the past almost 5 months now, fighting for an end of the bullyism by the David Grangers, led PNC coalition, while we continue to suffer irreparable financial damages due to the lack of work, closed businesses, COVID-19 is on our back. And, when you look at the state of the layman in Guyana, and I don't believe that people recognize how serious this situation has become. A lot of people, and this is, Leonard, you were making many reference to giving a plate of food or a hamper or whatever we can help. When you have a society that has now succumbed to the layman dependence on food hampers for a living, the layman cannot afford to buy basic food supplies. This is a very serious situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that many have recognized the magnitude of the situation. We are taking it for granted still.
A lot of people understand. The politicians don't understand.
I have a question for Dr. Mahadeo, right? Now, many might disagree with me on this, but many will also agree. I want to rest the entire blame for this fiasco we are in solely at the feet of the GCOM chair. And I will tell you what my reason is. When this whole thing started, when Mr. Mingo started to use fictitious numbers that were nowhere represented on the statement of polls. Now, Dr. Mahadeo, GCOM's chair, she could have ended this situation, or she could have bring this situation to a close immediately right here, because she could have said, listen, I have statements of polls in my hands that belongs to GCOM, and these do not reflect the numbers that Mingo is using. I will reveal those statements of polls. Now, Dr. Mahadeo, my question is, from your rational mind, what do you think can be some of the possible reasons the chairperson can provide to us when for her voting against revealing the statement of polls that GCOM have in their possession for Region 4, when the PTPC commissioners moved the motion to have those statements of polls released? What do you think can be some of the possible reasons that the chairperson was against revealing those SOPs?
Thank you very much, caller. Yog, you've heard the caller asking.
Well, I would want to, we can only presume. I cannot put myself in the chairman's mind. But Leonard, I would want to think that the Madam Chair might have been guarded in her thoughts or in her thinking of taking actions that might lead to a lot of emotive, disturbing behavior that will take this country down a different trajectory. So I don't know. I mean, they say, that when you look things from, I hate to use the word hindsight anymore, Leonard, but when you look at things, when you reassess your actions of the past, now it may seem to Madam Chairman that she could have acted differently. But I think in the heat of the moment and the challenges that were facing her at that time, she might have taken a decision to say, look, let us put this all behind us because we're going to go down the path of the recount, and therefore none of those things are going to matter. That's the only thing I can think of at this stage, Leonard. As I said, looking at it from now, from this vantage point we're at, we can probably review it differently. But in the heat of the moment, when she was faced with the questions, she might have taken a decision to not. I also believe, I'll be very open with you and the caller and our viewers and listeners. I also believe that a lot of times people take decisions thinking and knowing that the stakeholders in this process, ANOG, TNI, TNM, LJP, PPPC, that they're going to take whatever decision quietly and silently. There's not going to be riots, and there's not going to be looting and stuff like that. And if the converse were to be true, then a different scenario might prevail. And so a lot of times those are the things that might guide such things. Leonard, I just want to say in passing that viewers and listeners would recall that there was a criminal action that was being filed in the courts against Mr. Keith Lowenfield. And Mr. Lowenfield has been dodging the person serving him with that court document to get him to appear in court. As of probably within the last hour, they were able to successfully serve him with the court documents. And so Mr. Lowenfield, who has been evading the summons for a long time, has eventually been served and is expected to be in court tomorrow. So, you can run, you can run, you can run. One day it's going to catch up with you.
And I rather predict, Yog, that there's going to be a slew of private criminal charges filed against several persons. I rather see there's going to be class suits too against several persons, not only for the delays that would have caused our businesses to probably lost opportunities, but because of what would have happened. I asked a question before whether somebody could sue because of the mental stress and everything else that would have happened because of this. I would love to see something along that way, because what the people would have gone through here, this has nothing to do with politics or so. I don't believe this as a human being in a country which we were promised. Everybody was all hyped up because of this oil and everything, and we were looking forward to a bright future. Regardless of the fact that we would have had a deal that would have been signed that we're not happy about, but we were very, um, uh, we were very positive about this entire thing, and then it's all thrown us in a backward gear after March the 2nd, and we use March the 2nd because everything that would have been in a advanced mode of the backwardness in this country decide to take a different gear altogether after March the 2nd. This is beyond madness. Somebody really need to sue some people. Private criminal charges, I expect many of that to happen, many cases
Let,
of that.
let me just add this to the point I made in response to the last caller. Ladies and gentlemen, we also got to realize that maybe I'm just putting some thoughts together here. Maybe at that stage when Madam Chairman would have been making her decisions, she would have had meetings with her commissioners. She would have had meetings with her secretariat. Remember, she has a secretariat under her. And at that stage, she would not have known Keith Lowingfield would be doing what he has turned out to do. So she might have had trust that, or she might have had their word that certain things would be done, which I guess she would have learned differently as time progressed.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Young Mahadeo. Quickly, we go back to the lines again. We want to bring in as much calls as possible. There's a caller on line. Good afternoon, caller, you're on the air. Yes, good afternoon, caller, you're on the air. I think we would have lost that. So let's see some other comments in the meantime, Yog. Um, uh, uh, Somebody asked, why is it that all the church doors are closed? And I presume we could use it by extension, mandates and mosque. But there's still a lot of gatherings at wedding parties, wedding house and parties. Very good question. According to Glenn Washington's song, you see a man face, but you don't know what's in his heart. They're heartless people. I'm tired of this thing. So that's coming there from one viewer listener. I think we've already reached a state of what Venezuela is without even the sanction, because people are suffering from starvation. Good day, Leonard in Yog. Keep up the good job. I'm from a Fiance on the Esquimalt Coast, and presently everybody radio just tune into Kaieteur Radio. A good day to you people on the Esquimalt Coast. We're happy for what you're doing, and Dr. Yog Mahadeo. The boys on the of the Esquimalt Eagles would like to say thank you. I'm not sure what's the Esquimalt Eagles, but I presume you know, Yog. We're so blessed to have people like you in this country. We need leaders like you. Yog, you're a politician now. But go ahead. Who's the Esquimalt Eagles, Yog?
It's a team of bright, energetic youngsters that have gotten together. We have created, along with Mr. Rambali and the entire team there, we have created a brand new cricket team. Young people interested in serving their country and interested also in forming themselves together in practice training and cricket. So that is, I want to just say bye to them. I didn't expect that message from them, but hello to you all and keep up. They have not been able to play as yet, Leonard, but they are certainly practicing every day.
I like that. I like that you are, and I think these are the little things. The little things, like a cricket team, any team, a football team, whether it's a jersey that we could do. One of the things that I really, really liked on this program here, Yog, this afternoon program. I know that room 592 has taken a different level. It's gone to a different realm in terms of bringing the conversation up We're talking really serious things, the development of this country, and on issues of laws and things like that. But on this particular program, the Elections Watch, we have seen so many of our good people who are willing to, give, put out the belly, as they say, to help our people and the offerings. I'm seeing, I really love what I'm seeing. I really love the spirit of our people. This is something that I never really paid attention, but I've started, start looking at it, and I've seen the selflessness that is coming out from our people, and that's why it hurts me so much that our politicians could really not look at our people. We've been, maybe you and I would have been fortunate to travel a couple of places, and we would have seen how people are, and then we come back to our country and realize, you could walk into a man place, go up to Burbies, and they take you there. They would offer you food from within the kitchen. You go to another place, nobody allows you into the house like that. These are realities that we live with. And we
Yeah,
have taken that
indeed.
and thrown it through the window. We've kicked that out of the door because we have a couple of people who are willing, or who are so scraven at you. I remember somebody using that word, so scraven for power that they're willing to throw that honesty, that innocence of our people away,
Correct.
and which is
Well,
something. It's not going to be easy to forgive them.
yeah, Leonard, just to tell you, so for the past 3 years, Mahadeo Foundation and the Rambly family, we have sponsored the under 15 cricket tournament, school tournament at the Essequibo Coast there. And so as of this year, we decided we're going to create a brand new team and inject some energy into the coast. So that's how this started up. And I want to say, just use this opportunity that they have written in to say, good job, guys, keep it up, but keep practicing every day.
Yes, they need to practice, and we have a huge following down there in the Essequibo Coast. They're not here online, but they're tuned into the radio. Good day to you, the people of Wakenham as well, Leg One, and right down uh, from the Parika area there. A good day to you. Thank you very much for tuning in with us, for being with us. And Yog, this evening, as we come up to a program time, we want to remind you at 7:30, Dr. Yog Mahadeo in room 592 is going to be back with myself, and he is going to be leading the way with having a conversation with Freddie Kissoon. There's been some major developments this week. Not only is there going to be a court case on Saturday, but there's that issue, the changing of at least one judge on the Court of Appeal there. We would have had a conversation with Mark Phillips about the Army issues there, about whether the Army and police, he believes, whether they would remain professional. It is an issue that we'd have to look at. And so there's many things to discuss there. So we want to thank you very much for being with us. Can't read all the messages. We have tons of messages coming in. We can't take all the calls. Maybe we could switch in one day very quickly before I come to Yog Mahadeo, and maybe he could give his closing remarks, and then we could say goodbye, unfortunately. So let's go to the lines. Good day, caller, you're on the air. Yes, good day, caller, you're on the air.
Good day.
Yes, could you lower your radio, please? Please do that for me.
Yeah. Glenn and Gildarie.
Yes, sir.
Gildarie and you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Now, quickly, I think we reach a stage we need to start hearing from the kids. We just had a number of kids that finished writing CXC, and we got some kids that finish UG. I think this is the time that the kids need to come and start voicing their concern concerning what is that going on presently. For me, this is a nice kind that we turn in terms of the system working. But one of the things that got the badge hanging on, there's a fear that consistently keep hanging, and prior to it keep hanging, it could be addressed. But as Yogda said, and something that I would like you to start peddling presently is let the leaders get into talk about moving this place forward. Like I was just telling a friend of mine, one good thing we got to enjoy is that this country in heading to no civil disturbance. And like that being said, Freddie posed a question recently. Freddie was speaking when they was having a little chat between Cold War. something that didn't tell Freddie. He said, man, Freddie does an old time thing. Times has changed. And then York posed a question to Dr. Dr. said, no, something with York and Dr. But what Dr. said, we got tragedies, but we ain't going to put it out there now. But we got ways and means that we can get around this whole thing. And this is good. But what this television, what this radio station, and others should come on board and get is the way forward and start discussing presently how you could get these two people to get this place moving. We don't want this place to slip into nowhere more slower than it's slow. And as you consistently keep saying, it got to be more talk and talk. The court system ain't going to work anymore. There's some format of fear upon the other end that they don't want to raise because at this point in time, you're getting scratchy, and I want to teach you in the direction that I think that he on. But what I beg you for on this show is I want the show start getting into speaking and getting people to discuss the way moving this country forward. We need to get it down to ordinary. Look, you try a thing, you didn't get through, amnesty or something, let me work it out, but don't let me put this country under jeopardy. We done have 23 years and 28 years with all the tragedy that went down, and don't let the country go back to the face. After 50 years, we don't see something. Look what's happening to the hospital just recently. Let me give you a quick one. If in Guyana you got $10 million and you fall into sickness, sometimes when you finish running around to the hospital, you might spend about 5, 6. When they say you got to go overseas, they're going to say 2 out of 5,000 US. 2 out of 5,000 US is 7 million. This is how troublesome this place is. Mm-hmm. We don't need to slip this place more back into trouble. So I need a discussion upon moving this country forward. And I think that we need to get the kids them in. When I say kids, CXC and UG, because we got kids that got views and we got kids that intelligent, that got a concern into it. But we need to mobilize a youth team about any race. I am picking out no Indian and no Chinese and no Afro. We need to mobilize a team for their voice start being hard concerned this. And not a small number, a huge number. Because this is a real nice turn that we are around this. As you speak about the swing vote, we need to get that swing vote moving. So I beg him, just let me get into moving this country forward and getting into tax.
Thank you very much, caller. And as we say goodbye to him, and I want to say to you that you've really touched me there, caller. These are the kind of conversation I think you're right up my alley there when you're talking about having it and moving it to the next level very quickly. These are the conversation that I would like to see too. And anything that is going to uplift this country, I am behind that. I want to be part of that discussion. Yoke, over to you, because I really like that caller. These are the people that we need to hear from.
Thank you. And I would like to extend an invitation again to that caller. Yes, we need to have the conversation. Send me your number, sir, so that we can stay in contact and plan some future conversations. Leonard, I would like to take this opportunity to announce, and thanks to our forefront soldier in this regard, Miss Annette Arjun. Ma'am, yes. You are doing a fantastic job, and I wish to acknowledge you and the work you're doing for our environment. And Leonard, July 26th, which is a couple of days from now, we're going to be celebrating World Mangrove Day. World Mangrove Day. And ladies and gentlemen, why this is important, especially to Guyana, is that while there is not enough heed being given and paid to the mangroves, that is the first line of defense, good, cheap, nice form of defense against rising sea levels. One has to also keep the point about the greenhouse gases. And presently, Guyana is in a very bad state where we have contributed to the decimation of the world's ozone layer. Leonard, as we speak, over 10 billion cubic feet of natural gas would have been flared by Exxon And look, we spoke about this 2 months ago. We are so focused on elections
Yep.
that we're getting what we are doing to the world. The only thing we can hand over to our children is this country and these lands and waters and what is happening to it. So while we are twiddling our thumbs, all of these things are happening. Anna Tartun would have posted, and thank you again, ma'am. She would have posted that along the coast there's flooding that is taking place because of rash decisions that seem to have been made by persons to destroy the mangrove protection that we have had. We all got to contribute. It cannot take one person and two persons. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, no agency alone can contribute to the cleanliness of our environment. No agency can stop you and me from throwing garbage and plastic bottles and plastics out there, man. We got to be responsible people and start to take ourselves and our own actions under control. So I wish to join with that call, and I wish to say that let us all learn a little bit about mangroves and the protection of our shorelines and protection of our country, and let us all start. And I'm certainly hoping, Leonard, that's another thing that I regret. Every second Monday, we're supposed to have a discussion in Rule 592 on the environment and on nature and stuff like that. And we are unable to because of this election impasse that keeps going on and on and on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. It's very important.
Down to these basics one day, Leonard.
Yes. I thank you very much for that, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, and he's going to be leading the way, room 592, this evening with Freddie Kissoon, columnist, Kaieteur News columnist Freddie Kissoon. I must tell you, we did receive some sad news not too long ago that there was a shooting of a man by bandits in Middle Road, La Penitence. That's what we're hearing so far. Our condolences to the family there and friends, and we're trying to bring some more details on that. In the meantime, if you're now joining us or you've joined us a little too late, you would have missed the news that Keith Lowenfield, Chief Elections Officer, has been served with documents, summons that he has to go to the court tomorrow, and it's private criminal charges against him, and he has to go to the court tomorrow. And so we are going to be back with you this evening, 7:30 p.m. sharp, room 592. It's been a pleasure as normal every single day. Very warm people, and as we talk about moving this country forward, taking it to the next step, digging ourselves out of this hole that we've been dug into by a handful of people. We pray for this beautiful country of ours, like Yog would always say, and stay strong. If you're suffering, if you're starving, if you have something that could help, we ask that our people come together. Let us look at our neighbors. Let us look to our friends. Let us be our brothers keepers and sisters keepers, and do what we can until we could get back on our feet. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to this beautiful land of ours. Let us don't forget that. Thank you very much. Thank you to our people in the studio here. And this has been your edition of the Elections and COVID-19 Watch for July the 23rd, 2020.
Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.